We will call to order the regular board meeting of the Board of Election Commissioners for the City of Chicago. Good morning. My name is Marisol Hernandez. I'm the chair, and with me is Commissioner William Cressy.
Present.
Next item on the agenda is the consideration of the agenda. Commissioner Cressy, do you have any?
Yes, I would ask that item 9B, the current financial report, Cook County, be deferred until a future meeting.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the regular board meeting minutes of September the 14th. I will move to approve the minutes.
And Commissioner Cressy seconds.
All those in favor, Commissioner Hernandez votes aye.
Commissioner Cressy votes aye.
Motion passes. Next item is the Executive Director's report. Mr. Holliday.
Morning, Madam Chair, Commissioner Cressy. I participated in the fall Zoom conference with the Association of Election Commissioners of Illinois, where we had guest speakers talking about the redistricting, permanent vote by mail, Illinois voting and registration system, election legislation, and a presentation of honorary lifetime membership to Lance Goff and to Paul Shannon. It was a very nice session. A brief status of redistriction. The geocoding for all voters is 100% completed. A list of voters in new and old districts can be produced for some of the districts. Unofficial legislative maps can be produced, still waiting on input data for judicial and congressional districts, and all voters can be plotted onto ward maps. Attended my monthly meeting with the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center, where it was mentioned that reports of emails with malicious attacks sent to election offices. Our security specialist has checked and found no emails with the malicious attachments sent to our office. I met with the city budget committee along with my administrative team to go over our 2022 budget. All went well. Our budget was approved. So ends my report, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll hear from our Assistant Executive Director, Sandra Spera. Mrs. Spera?
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioner Cressy. We are meeting with our representative from ES&S to plan for upcoming maintenance and upgrades to the poll books ahead of the next election in 2022.
And when are you meeting with them, or did you meet with them?
We met with them briefly. Actually, Brian, you're on. He's on.
I am here.
Mm-hmm. So, Mrs. Spera, you met with them briefly, and then are you meeting again, or what?
Yes, we are.
Okay. And the whole goal of this is?
Charging of the poll books. We're going to start charging the poll books, second phase. And also, Brian's going to be going in late November to check the poll book stands.
Okay. Okay, good. Thank you. Any questions?
How much of the work on the poll books is going to be awaiting redistricting? How much work does that affect the poll books at all?
It should not affect. I mean, the districts, Al would download the database, so it should not affect any. I don't think so. Brian?
No, the poll books will take the new data when Al gives it to me. We'll probably do a few tests, but for the real election, we'll get that data in early May to be loaded into the poll books. So nothing needs to be done to the poll books at the current time.
Okay, and when that comes through, it'll be a very quick and easy adoption.
It'll just be a change in the data that the city gives me to put into the poll book.
Thank you much.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. We will now proceed with our Public Information Director, Max Bever. Max?
Good morning, everybody. This is Max Bever. Just a few updates from my end. As the executive director noted, we spent the last few weeks with our attention on the city budget. We finalized all budget responses materials and they've been submitted to the city of Chicago successfully. We're now preparing remarks and reports for the Cook County budget hearing on Monday, October 25th. We hosted a booth for National Voter Registration Day at Daly Plaza on September 28th. I want to thank our registration and community services divisions for their hard work. And I'm excited to say we're preparing to tape our first podcast episode this week.
Great.
So be on the lookout in the near future for our first episode there.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. And I've been noticing that we have some social media activity. And I'd like to thank you for that. It's been very good.
Thank you,
So
Chair.
thank you.
Yeah, National Voter Registration Day was our most successful post since last November. So we're looking forward to getting people back in the election mood.
Exactly. Exactly. And again, I just want to do a shout out to the League of Women Voters and their social media postings. They've done a great job, and I love their postings. So thank you, Helene and League of Women Voters.
Let me just say that there isn't a great deal of interest yet in this election.
Right.
We didn't register very many people, and I think nobody knows who's running for what and what districts
Right.
they're in, and so it's kind of slow.
I think it's not unusual for, when it's this early. But I think the interest will increase as we get closer and
Yeah.
exactly we know who the candidates are. We don't even know that.
And I think everyone's taking a well-deserved breather after the last election.
Right.
So, and I second the kudos to both Max and Helene. Wonderful work you've been doing. Thank you.
Madam
Thank
Chair, I'd like to say that when Helene and I were at the college, most of the students that were coming said they were already registered, which was a good thing.
Yeah.
And when I went to the Harold Washington Legacy Committee event last week, there were students from Harold Washington College who said, "Oh, I remember you. You were at the college," so they are aware.
Yeah. Good.
And
Oh,
they
we were sitting there.
well.
Excellent.
Yeah, well, we did a great job in for the last primary and general election despite
Yeah.
COVID.
Right.
So kudos to you too, Betty, for helping and getting these young people registered. But I'm sure that, like I said, the interest will increase once we start getting a little closer.
We still have
Um,
vacancies on our voter rolls, so they can, we can always add more.
Absolutely, we have room. Next item on the agenda is infrastructure projects and changes in election administration and voting equipment. Anything new, Mr. Holliday?
Nothing new, Madam Chair.
Okay, and we already discussed electronic poll books, so thank you. Legislation, anything new, Mr. Lasker?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The new update for you is that I've been talking for quite a while with the county clerk's office on our desire to change legislation on precincts so that we can both reduce the number of precincts that we have by increasing the size. The good news here is that the county clerk here, the Cook County Clerk, has met with their County Clerks Association members throughout the state, both up here in the Collier County area and downstate, and they have obtained approval from the entire association to move forward with that current legislation. That obviously that's affecting the county clerks because of my communications with the county and having worked with them on it. They're also including in their proposed bill the same changes for commissions, election commissions. We've been also supporting that unanimously in AECOI, the Association of Election Commission Officials of Illinois. So they've got a bill, I'll send you the language if I haven't already, that they're putting into this veto session with the full support of all the county clerks and election commissions throughout the state. So we're hopeful that that's going to move forward. What that would do is increase the size, the permissible size of a precinct uniformly all throughout the state to a maximum target of 1,800 registered voters per precinct. The precinct size under statutes is currently measured on what the election code calls actual voters. Those are the people who actually cast a ballot during the presidential election. So in Chicago, that's roughly 75% of our registered voters would be an actual voter in a presidential election. We would count those ballots cast, total ballots cast, doesn't matter which form of ballot they did. And we would come up with that number to determine the size of our precincts. We're supposed to keep currently our precincts as close to 600 as possible. So this will increase it from 600 actual voters up to 1,800 registered voters. So it's not really a 3 times increase, because we're talking apples and oranges a little bit of actual voters to registered voters. So a precinct with 600 actual voters probably has 800 to 1,000 registered voters, but we're taking that number up to 1,800 now through this legislation. Another quirk that would be removed from the election code is there's currently and historically been a discrepancy between the maximum size of a precinct between those governed by election commissions as compared to those by county clerks. I have never been able to figure out in my own mind any justification for that difference, a difference of 100, or excuse me, our target number statutorily was 600. The election commissions was the county clerks was 500. That discrepancy will be eliminated. We'll have a statewide, even uniform blanket rule, maximum 1,800 per precinct. So that's really great news that the Cole County Clerks Association is supporting that. I'll keep you posted. That's the big news for a legislation report. If it would so please the board, I'd be happy to go straight into my legal report because we have no new business on the agenda.
That's fine. Go
Okay.
do the legal report. Mhm.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a draft calendar that's ready, but I don't feel like it's the time yet. I think we need to wait a little to publish that calendar. The reason is there still are these discrepancies in the legislation that changed things a bit for 2022. It unintentionally creates 2 different candidate filing periods for the November general election. One filing period for state and national, a separate filing period for county candidates. As I've previously reported to you, I've spoken with the state board. They agree that that seems to be unintentional. They are working for a legislative remedy to that this veto session. Both the state board and the Cook County Clerk's Office are holding off on publishing their calendars because we all feel it's just not a good idea to put something out there on the streets that we know is probably going to be changed substantially in the very near future. I would point out that under our normal cycle of schedule of getting these calendars published, with the mid-March primary that it would normally be, we would have published at the end of August. So by pushing the primary back by 3.5 months, our target date now would be early December if we were to use the same kind of schedule. But we're ready to go now, and as soon as this October veto session is done, I'll present it to the board for formal approval. I've already shared the draft, of course, with Mr. Holliday, Mr. Goff. It's being used internally for preparation purposes, for our own planning purposes. But that's because we're aware of this problem and we know how to get it. So we'll keep moving with that. We've been meeting with Opal Walls, the board's procurement officer. She's on the line here today. She's quite busy right now because all of her work, most of her work is for prepping for elections. It's very much advanced work. So I just want to let you know that she's giving top priority focus right now to an RFP for ballot printing. This board has not recently had to do an RFP for the ballot printing because it's had a sole source provider. When there's a vendor who's the only source in the state for the services needed, you're not required to go through the bidding process. However, now there are more than one. There's actually 3 printers who have been certified by Dominion for printing ballots. So we'll be doing an RFP. That RFP is going to include both regular precinct ballots and vote by mail ballots. Hope is working on that to get that out and published. She's also working on a mailer for or a contract extension we're trying to obtain for the printing and mailing of the pre-household mailer. Earlier this year, before the legislature moved the date of the primary, we did a contract extension on that bid that expires at the end of March. That was the last extension to that contract that was bid that we could do. So now hoping that even though they're not locked in at that rate, that vendor would continue to agree to move forward to June. If not, we'll have to do another RFP on that. And she's also working on cartage and temp staffing RFPs, trying to get those done as soon as possible. With the cartage RFP, we have to hold off. We're waiting on confirmation from the city is what's going to happen with our warehouse. If we have to do a temporary relocation with the warehouse, we would want that to be incorporated into the cartage RFP so that we've got that nailed down. So I think Opal will be ready to move forward on that when we get confirmation from the city. But in the meantime, we need to hold on. Temp staffing is up in the air with the COVID pandemic. We've had one of our prior temp staffing agencies has gone out of business. So Opal is working hard to figure out what's going on out there in the community and where we can find the temp staffing needs that the board has. Finally, we've started meetings internally on pretrial detainee voting at the Cook County Jail. We've decided that it's time to start. We're going to very soon start opening those conversations back up with both the county clerk's office and the jail to get those processes nailed down for the next election. Internally, our staff has identified some ways in which we can enhance the registration process for those pretrial detainee voters. And so we're going to be presenting those ideas to the county and the jail and see if we can't get those ideas implemented. It's a different kind of registration class because a pretrial detainee is, as we all know, supposed to be afforded a quick and speedy trial under the federal constitution and state as well. So they're not supposed to remain a pretrial detainee for very long. So we're looking for ways that we can sort of automatically cancel those registrations between periods if they're registered actually as a resident of the jail, because they shouldn't be their pretrial detainee status for that long. So anyway, things like that are moving forward, and welcome any questions, but otherwise that does end my report today.
Yes, Adam, with regards to the RFP for the ballot printing, in the last election nationwide, there were problems with ink leaking through the Sharpie gate, some people called it. Has Dominion given any guidance on that we can work in the RFP, make sure whether maybe it's a change of ink or pens, or maybe it's a change of paper? Any guidance on that coming through from Dominion?
Yeah, so first of all, let me reiterate that we're aware of that issue, but beforehand, the ballots were intentionally laid out with the possibility of Sharpie ink bleeding through. And so we did have bleed through. It did concern a lot of voters in the polls, and we got phone calls on it last November, I think it was, or perhaps it was March, I'm forgetting at the moment. But one of those two elections, we got a lot of calls because voters were concerned about it, but it really didn't cause any problems with the tabulation of the ballots. Nothing substantial because it was accounted for. If it bleeds through to the other side, it's not going to cover a mark on the backside of the ballot.
Right.
That being said, when we use a fine point marker, it works better than a medium point, and I think the issue was that medium points, heavier weight tip was ordered for that most recent election, and we're not going to use those again. We'll go back to finer point markers.
Okay, well, just in case that brings up another on ordering pen supplies, as again, as soon as possible, because a lot of other jurisdictions will want the same ones.
Okay.
So we want to be able to get those, locked in as soon as possible. Really, any kind of supplies at this point should be locked in, given the supply chain issues that are being reported in the news. So,
Yeah,
okay.
indeed, agreed.
Agreed.
Okay. Any other comments, Commissioner Cressy?
Yep, that'll do it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Adam.
Next on the agenda is a financial report. We have a balance sheet and voucher listing for the City of Chicago, 2021 appropriation number 21-07, dated October 12th, 2021, in the amount of $376,037.34. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved by Commissioner Cressy.
I will second. All those in favor, please state aye.
Commissioner Cressy votes aye.
Commissioner Hernandez votes aye. Motion passes. Next item is public comment. Is there a request for public comment, Trish?
No, we've not received any requests for public comment.
Okay. And is there a need for executive session?
Not today, thank you.
Okay, if not, I think we've conducted our business for today. I want everyone to have a great day and a good week. And I will make a motion to adjourn.
And Commissioner Cressy will second.
All those in favor? Commissioner Hernandez votes aye.
Commissioner Cressy votes aye and extends everyone a great wish for a good week and a good day. Take care.
Take care. We're adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Everybody.